We are united by rice. I'm Junko Goda, and I'm here with Ben Lee. How's it going,
Hey,
Ben?
Junko.
Hey.
Things are good. Happy day after Memorial Day. I know that it won't be Memorial Day when people are listening to this, but hopefully not
Yes.
too long from now, and hopefully everyone out there had a good Memorial Day weekend.
Yeah. Although I guess it's a bit somber for me. Like I do have people to like memorialize and stuff for Memorial Day. So
Mm.
yeah, but for anyone who's listening, who's a veteran or is a family member of a veteran, thank you very much for your service. Um, so yeah, let's see. My week, I guess I'll just start with my quick highlight really quick. I got to actually interpret for a director named Yoko Yamanaka out of Japan. And she's very interesting. She's currently 27, but she was the youngest to be recognized at Cannes last year. Yeah, for
For what film or for?
yeah. So it was her. Was it her feature? Was her debut? Oh no, it's her second. It was actually her second feature, and that one was called Amiko. Oh wait, actually, is it Desert of Namibia? Oh yeah, it was Desert. Oh yeah. Sorry. Desert of Namibia. Her previous work that kind of put her on the spotlight was Amiko, which was in 2017, and she made that when she was 19.
Wow.
Yeah. Then let's see, she was 19, and then a couple years later, yeah, she was in college and she dropped out like any good filmmaker and said, screw it. And she said, I'm going to be a director. So yeah, she's like 26, 27 years old now. She has 2 features under her belt, I believe. Yeah. I think it's her second one. So she was screening Desert of Namibia, which was at Cannes last year. So I really thought this film captures the next generation of, well, I call them kids, but yeah, of the younger generation right now, as well as obviously through a filmmaker's eyes, specifically female in the context of Japanese society. I also thought that maybe this was how the older generation thought when they saw Breakfast Club. It was just
Mm.
like, this is like, I'm like, what is up with these kids? Like, I don't understand
Yeah,
their train of thought.
these
Like,
crazy
and
millennials or whatever. So what is actually 27? What is that? What is that age group called? Gen? Is
oh,
that a
good Lord.
Gen?
Alpha?
That's not Gen Alpha?
Is it
Maybe it's Gen Alpha.
Alpha? Yeah,
It's
something
probably
like
something
that.
else. We'll go with Gen Alpha for now. Someone can fact check us.
Yeah. But it's basically this girl who's like, she's in her early 20s in Japan, and she's navigating through Japanese society, but feeling very, closed in, claustrophobic, like a lot of, generations do. But yeah, it's very, the director's very purposefully takes out information on purpose. So we have to figure it out. It was a lot of like, I'm like, hold on. Leanne, do you hear my dog? You
We do.
don't.
I hear your dog now,
Ben
but that's
hears it.
okay.
And you
Kenzo,
don't.
Renzo, Kenzo.
Renzo, hold on. Let me mute for a second. We're going to edit all this shit out because hold on.
I think we should leave this part in, Leanne. Her mouthing and yelling at her dogs. It's pretty
We should
funny, actually.
totally should, actually. We totally should. uh, yeah. So it was interesting that, oh, good Lord.
By the way, Leanne is our lovely new producer. We
I
will
know
give her some
we're
airtime
gonna,
at some point.
yeah, we're gonna have to start like referring to you until you finally appear. You're gonna be like that rare Pokemon. Anyway, okay, so her it was very interesting interacting with a director that young.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm used to interpreting for directors who are like 50 and older, if not more like 60 and 70 and older. So it was very interesting. She actually also like freaked the hell out of me a little bit. I felt like for the first for the first day I met her, I felt like a little squirmy. I'm like, this Gen Alpha is totally judging me in my head. It was just in my head. It was fine.
so we know more about the type of work you do. When you say interpreting for her, was she doing press interviews? What was she doing?
Yeah, so this one was a screening. So,
Mm,
Desert of Namibia, it comes out of Connie Releasing Limited. They have a whole bunch, they have a really nice, solid library. They're based out in New York. Yeah, so they were able to book some screenings at the Glendale Lemley here, just outside of LA, for two screenings, and then American Cinematheque actually had screened Amico and Born Pisces as well. Yeah, yeah. So I go to these Q&A panels and I interpret those.
yeah, and important question, did you like the film? Did you watch the film
Yes,
during the
yeah.
screening? Yeah.
Yeah, for Desert of Namibia, uh, I am in the middle, I guess. I didn't absolutely love it. I saw a lot of people come up to the director after the screening and they were just like, I've seen this, like four times in the theater. I absolutely love this movie. So it definitely connects with the younger
Hmm.
generation, but I would definitely say watch it. It's an experience, just an insight into the next generation.
Yeah, for those of you listening, Junko seems to be struggling with the younger generation here, but she does herself look 27, so you may be confused when you watch the video.
Older than that.
Well, let me talk about. Well, I don't think I
Yeah, you're
have that
awake.
much to report this
Yeah.
weekend. I'm trying to think, did I watch anything? I wanted to get out and see Mission Impossible: Final Reckoning. I don't know if that's. I feel like the longer I don't go see it, the less likely I'll go see it because I'll probably hear how it is, and it's probably not so great as maybe what I'm already hearing. But I don't know. Did you get to see it?
Didn't see it. I was more interested in the fact that Lilo and Stitch did better in the box office than Mission Impossible, but part of that reason is just that Lilo and Stitch appeals to a larger audience age range, and if it's a family of four going, there's four more butts than that single seat, so there's just that. But I thought it was interesting. My friends who are Lilo and Stitch fans, there's some skepticism because it's live action. But if so many people went, I'm kind of interested, or I might just wait for it to go streaming.
Well, there should be skepticism, right? Like pretty much every live action Disney film is. I probably can't say they bombed. They probably have all made money, but I don't know. I've never heard that they're so wonderful to watch or good to watch. And Snow White clearly was a disaster. I didn't watch it, but what the news
Snow
wasn't good on
White,
it.
no, but it was already struggling before it even started
Yeah,
marketing. There was, yeah,
yeah.
there was stuff at the
Maybe
door.
for other
Yeah, yeah.
reasons. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah. That was just, yeah, slightly unfortunate.
Yeah, yeah. By the
Yeah.
way, I did see over the weekend, it probably has been out a little bit longer, but the trailer for Karate Kid Legends,
Yes,
is that something that
yes.
you're excited about?
I'm excited mostly because my friend who works at Sony publicity side, I guess, she's been in charge of that
Really?
title.
Okay.
Yeah, so I am like so happy for her, and they're having so much fun with Uncle Jackie. Uh and he's like such a great uncle to her kid and stuff. So I'm of course, I want to see the film, but I also just want to see it because my friends put in a lot of hard work. So, at least
Yeah,
on the back end to market it.
yeah, I don't know. Has the premiere happened already?
I thought it did.
I think
Maybe.
outside the US, I'm not sure if the one in the US has happened yet. I've seen some clips, I'm sure. Um, of some images of Ben Wang and Ralph Macchio and Jackie for sure. But yeah, look, if we can't get any of the cast, always happy to have Tamlyn Tomita on Junko. She she
Yeah, we'll
she
have.
could
Yeah,
speak
yeah.
she could speak about Karate Kid for sure.
Yeah, which reminds me, I do have to reach out to her. So, Tamlin, somehow, if you're listening to this episode, I will be contacting you.
Yeah, yeah. Well, kind of on the theme, I guess this is a really terrible transition, but on the theme of Japanese, our guest today is Troy Iwata, who I had the pleasure of interviewing a few days ago. And for those that may not know that name right away, he's a musical theater guy that many will know from his time on or around Broadway, but maybe most people in the mainstream will recognize him at least from the time he's been on The Daily Show. And he's one of the correspondents on The Daily Show and has a couple really funny bits. And I feel like correspondents are on a couple times a week, so you have to be watching and to catch him. But he's been hilarious. He's been he's also one of the Asian voices outside of Ronnie Chang, who's also going to be one of our guests soon on The Daily Show. So I always love everything that he does on the show. But I know, Junko, your theater background, I feel like this is a topic of great interest to you, musical
Yes.
theater. Where's musical theater in your life?
I grew up with my parents taking me to musical theater. I think when I hit like 12 years old or something like that, they stopped throwing me birthday parties and they started taking me to musical theater, so all the Weber and all the classics, Phantom of the Opera, Miss Saigon, that whole spiel. Man of La Mancha. So yeah, for sure. And at this point, um I know actually my friend Melody Butue, she's probably like my closest regularly working musical actor. Um Absolutely wonderful. She's actually in a new musical with Kristen Chenoweth that I believe is going up this year, later this year, I believe.
That's a
So
big
she,
deal.
yeah, it's a huge, yeah, huge. Because I think, yeah, I think she's been part of the development process. So, yeah, it's a very big deal for her. And then I saw her on Broadway in a production of Here Lies Love, which is a musical about Imelda Marcos.
Hmm.
So it's I'm like I have goosebumps just thinking about it. It's such a great production, and what they do is that they take out the traditional orchestra seating area. They take that out and they turn it into a dance floor. And there's actually a platform, this 360 moving platform, that takes up a good chunk of the floor space. So everyone, you buy your dance floor seats versus seating, which can be up above, and there's like 8 ushers so that for every section, because this dance floor moves, so it can carry uh the actors from point A to point B, and it's just like it's spectacular. So my friend Melody was in that. It will actually be here in LA next year with the Center Theater Group's next season. So I'm very excited about that. Shout out to Snehal, who is the artistic director at CTG currently, for choosing a wonderful musical to bring to LA. So yeah, you guys have to see it like when it's in LA.
That's great. What is the last musical you've been to?
That. I'm like, was it the one at East West Players? I'm trying to remember off the top of my head. And I'm like, I actually watched a lot of theater, so I'm like, no, let's see. Okay, the other day I saw Laugh at Pie, and then the other musical I saw was, you know what? I think it was Sondheim, and man, I'll be honest, I'm not a big Sondheim fan
Is it the
because I'm
music? The music that you don't love?
probably just I guess he's trying to put a lot of words in a short amount of time. Um and just how he does it does not groove with me understanding the story and the emotionality of what's going on. I think if it's just a sole purpose of communicating a lot of the story within a short amount of time, like I connect with Hamilton with that format. But Sondheim, is a big pillar in musical theater, of course. uh but yeah, so I,
Yeah,
I
yeah,
will go see it.
not every
Yeah,
musical's for everyone, right?
yeah, but I will go see it nonetheless and
That's
just be
good.
like, okay, it's still not my jam. Okay, it might be different in 10 years. Yeah, how about you, Ben? Musical? I mean, Wicked?
Well, the last one I saw was actually, so I don't, that's a pretty good guess because I don't go to too many musicals and I'm in San Francisco, so all the ones we get are like the touring ones, right? But I saw Six recently. It was the touring group,
Yes.
which
Yeah.
was a ton of fun. And I
Nice.
went in completely blind. I had no idea what it was about. And, you know, for those that don't know, it's the six wives of Henry VIII. Henry VIII? Henry V? I think Henry VIII. And, a couple of them had very well-known outcomes like beheadings and whatnot, but it's basically about the six of them. I think they're in the afterlife, right? But it's and
I
it
haven't seen it.
okay, and it's set in current day, so it's current music. And they're basically telling their stories and competing on who had it worse, right? And it's pretty funny because like one of them or a couple of them, of course, don't get beheaded, so you would think they're the obvious choices, but they make compelling cases. But it's really fun. It's a really fun, really colorful show, and they're very interactive, right? It's very, um, I don't know how to describe that type of theater, but they clearly recognize the audience. It's good times. I just admire, like, going back to Troy, I admire that type of talent, right? And sometimes when you see
Oh
these
yeah.
actors on TV shows or who have become mainstream actors, I think of someone like Rosario Dawson, right? Like most people, especially younger people, will know her as, oh, she's Ahsoka in Star Wars, and she's, just well-known actress in a lot of things, but people forget, oh, she was also part of the original cast of Rent,
Rent.
right?
Yeah.
And you hear them sing whenever you rarely get to hear them sing. You usually have to go down some rabbit hole search on YouTube to find all these clips, and then I'm just blown away. And I do wish, like on the big screen, there was more representation.
Hmm.
Again, you wouldn't necessarily think it, but I really did like Wicked because you get to see people like Cynthia and Ariana Cook, and you just have this extra appreciation for the type of talent that they have compared to, not to say that all actors and actresses aren't talented, but to me it's like a whole nother level, right? And I
Yeah.
can't get enough of it.
Yeah. I mean, so in like Troy's case, with his, and I guess maybe most audience members don't realize, but when you're on a full show, you are doing Mondays off, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, two shows on Saturday, two shows on Sunday. You're doing 8 shows a week. Maybe throw in a possible Thursday 10 or 11 a.m. matinee for like a high school group, those groups. So you're doing eight or nine shows a week at that caliber. And yeah, they, especially these days, because there's less actors coming out of theater. So if you're gonna be doing musical theater and have a passion for musical theater, it's people who are really up for all the work.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, yeah, it's a ton of work, ton of dedication. To plug an interview I just did for Awards Focus, I interviewed Erica Henningsen. She's on a show. It's another divorce show on
Mm.
it's with Steve Carell. It's the Tina Fey show. Why am I blanking on it right now? Four
Oh
Seasons.
yeah. Oh
Four
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Seasons.
Yeah.
Yeah. And she's like number seven probably on the call sheet because she's not one of the main six cast members, but kind of comes in later on and plays a key role. But she's a Broadway, performer. She's on with Jonathan Groff right now. Um, and again, it's like these people just blow me away because
Yep.
you see them act
Also,
and you're like,
yeah.
great, but when you hear them sing and know that they're doing what you just described, performing seven, eight, nine times a week, and then still finding time to do TV, I'm like, who are these people?
Yeah, yeah. And actually also to plug Isa Briones coming up
Yeah.
in our
Yes.
queue too. Fabulous musical theater actor as well, and like her entire family.
Her whole family. Yeah, so
Well, yeah.
Issa, we are interviewing in a couple days. She is one of the young doctors on The Pit, for
Yes.
those that know more TV than they know local LA theater. So
Yes.
we're very excited to have her on. Um,
Yeah. So
Daily
yeah.
Show,
Yeah. Yeah.
in terms of Troy's, he's a correspondent, and he plays one. I'm gonna maybe I'll figure out how to link this in our comments or something, but I'm gonna implore everybody, if you haven't seen it, to go on YouTube, do a search for Troy Iwata and Elon Musk, and he does this bit. He's called Jean Lemon, like a French choreographer who teaches Elon his like little see if I can get on camera his little dance moves, right?
Right.
And we all know Trump and Elon have some very amazing dance talent. So it's obviously a spoof and really satirical, and the whole bit is leading up to, I don't even want to copy it, but the infamous, signal that Elon made at one of Trump's speeches. And again, Troy is so brilliant in this piece. So for everyone listening, go watch it, and then you'll understand why The Daily Show is actually putting him up for an Emmy for Best Supporting Actor, even though he's only in a couple bits, every week. So
Yeah,
he's
that's
he's doing
awesome.
fantastic work.
Yeah, yeah, I'm really looking forward to. I mean, to be honest, I am not of the demographic who watches The Daily Show regularly or those shows. Although, I guess if like Trump news gets really bad and I need a break with satire, there's
You're,
nothing
you're
like The
not
Daily Show.
you're not one that strikes me as someone who stays up because you have to be up also past like 11:30 to be able to watch it.
Well, yeah, but these days with streaming, I mean, everything's kind of on demand anyway.
Yeah, but actually, to your point about not watching it, and we asked this question of Ronnie, right? So this is a preview for the Ronnie Chang episode that's coming up. Like, there is a point where you can't watch it all, right? Like, if you watch too much news and even satirical news, I don't know, I would get depressed. I don't think I have the mental strength to do all my normal work and take care of all my normal business and then watch all that political just
Mm,
nonsense right now, right? It would
yeah.
it would actually drive me crazy.
Yeah, actually I've been intentional. 2016 to 2020, I didn't listen to the news at all. Like nothing. Which I think kind of gave me a little layer of protection cuz now like it's round 2 and I'm like, okay, let's do this. So I've been like listening to news a lot and yeah, like listening to Stacey Abrams, a lot of other podcasts. So yeah, yeah. So, within that more studious approach to this current administration, yes, a little dose of the Daily Show probably
Yeah,
wouldn't hurt.
yeah. Well, the good news is for all those that want to avoid that news, they can listen to us instead. So, forget about Pod Saves America and all those other podcasts. They've got enough subscribers, right?
Yeah.
As a reminder, please follow, please like, please subscribe. We're enjoying doing this, and we want to keep bringing these episodes to you. Well, should we anything else you want to chat about, or should we go ahead and play our wonderful interview with Troy?
I think we can spin that record. Wow, that
All right.
sounds old.
All right. Thanks, everyone. This is Troy Iwata with The Daily Show.
Well, hello. I'd like to welcome Troy Iwata to another edition of United by Rice. Troy, it is a pleasure and honor and joy to meet you. Thank you for joining us today.
Pleasure's all mine. Thanks so much for having me.
Of course. Well, I'd love to start. We'll talk about the Daily Show, I'm sure, from most of this discussion. But I know you have a background in musical theater, and you've done some other shows for Netflix, etc. Can you maybe share with us a little bit of the through line of your career so far, and how you've gotten to the Daily Show?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I have a pretty standard kid who did drama in high school storyline. I went to college for musical theater, and then after that, I moved to New York to try and be on Broadway, and it took about 8 years, and then it finally happened. And yeah, and then just from then on, it ended up booking some TV film shows, and then how I got the Daily Show was actually just not in my vicinity at all. I was doing a movie, and Desi Lydic was also in that movie, and so we were just hanging out in Alabama for 3 weeks filming, and I think it was just a window of lucky time. It was right around the time when they were looking for new talent, and at the end of shooting, Desi just said, she said, I mean, I've said this in interviews before, but she said, "I like the way you say things," which is the greatest compliment that I could have ever gotten. And she just said, "Could I give the Daily Show your name?" And then a few weeks later, I had an audition, and then I met with the producers, and I got hired. And I will say, coming from a background in musical theater, I mean this with all the love in my heart. It was the easiest job I've ever gotten.
Mm. And yeah, well, I can
For
sort of
people that don't
imagine.
know, musical theater jobs are a very rigorous process.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. And then you were almost recruited in to
Yeah,
use
yeah,
a
yeah.
business term.
So I'm
Um,
I'm elated to be here.
yeah, I mean, what do you think? I'm trying to unpack what Desi meant by "I like the way you say things." Like, what do you think she meant at the time?
I think, I mean, I have a very dry sense of humor and a very monotone, natural way of speaking. And, you know what? I never actually asked her, like, what do you mean by that? I just took it at face value and took it as a compliment. Maybe she didn't mean it as a compliment. I don't know.
I think she did. Um, well, so I'm interested because folks like Desi and the newsroom folks, the folks that are also co-hosting, I know
Hmm.
they're in the writers' room. It's a full-time gig. For for a role like yours, where you're coming in, every few weeks or so,
Hmm.
or maybe a bit a week. Are you also in the newsroom, or how did maybe just describe the level of involvement and the amount of time that you spend with The Daily Show?
Well, I mean, we have shows Monday through Thursday, and like it is the most collaborative job I've actually ever had in my career as far as like creative wise. And even though yeah, on average on the show one to two times a week. Sometimes more, sometimes less, but I would say that's the average. But it's the entire process is collaborative as far as like pitching ideas, and every time I'm involved in a piece, I'm always like, in the office with the writers, and they're very open to my ideas, and it's very refreshing as an actor um have uh to have the dialogue that's being written, um, have it be prioritized, that it's in my voice and that it feels natural coming from me. And it's interesting how kind of rare it is to be an actor where you're not just being told say this and make it work. They're very much like, does this work for you? We can adjust it. If you don't like saying that, well, there's always a solution. And so that's been a very fun and refreshing and kind of freeing uh experience to have. It's been wonderful.
So if you're talking about the process, is it SNL style where you're pitching a lot of the pieces that you're doing, or a lot of the pieces are also being proposed to you, and that's where some of the editorials coming in terms of what do you think of this, etc.
Yeah. Well, I haven't had the honor of working at SNL, so I wouldn't know what to compare that, how to compare that. But I mean, the ideas come from everywhere in the office. I mean, even people who aren't writers or directors. It's everyone's valid, and everyone has a good point of view and a good idea. And if it's good, we'll make it. So there have been times where certain ideas that I come up with have been greenlit, and that's always very exciting. And then also there are times where I get an idea pitched by someone else, but it's also sort of, it feels great because they're like, we thought of this. We thought of you with this idea. And I'm like, oh, that makes me feel special. So thanks.
Now, as a musical theater kid, did comedy come natural to you, or is that something that's been a harder learning curve?
Comedy came natural to me when I was like in preschool and kindergarten, and I was trying to be nice and I wasn't making friends, and then I did something funny and then people liked me. So very early on it was it was like, oh, that's how you get people. There we go.
Yeah, yeah. Well, and so the Daily Show occupies such a unique place in our I don't know what to call it, pop culture world, but really
Yeah.
in our news world, even though it's what's the log line, right? The um uh, we're not supposed to take it seriously, but sometimes it feels like it is the most accurate depiction
Right.
of news, right? Um, but in terms of where you thought you'd be in your career, and here you're also required to pretty much be on top of what's going on in politics and society. Is that something that has also always been something that's been a motivator for you?
No, this job has definitely made me more aware of what's going on in the world. I think also, and just more specifically, like, you always know the big things that are going on, but yeah, no, it's definitely brought me more into the loop of what's going on in the news cycle, which I think is good. And I think one of the most refreshing things about our show is that we are a variety comedy show, but I think the reason that people love The Daily Show is because they're not you can watch it and be given a promise that you will laugh, but you also will be educated on what's going on. It's not just we're making fun of everything. It's like, no, we'll call it the hypocrisy, and we'll still tell you the important things of what's going on, but we're gonna tell it to you in a more palatable way, I guess. Um, I've always thought, when some people say like, "Oh, I get all my news from the Daily Show," and I go, "Well, that's like getting all your news from like Twitter." I don't think that's like the best idea. Like, watch the news and then also watch the Daily Show so that you can not be so stressed about it. Like, I think they go hand in hand, but don't, you shouldn't be watching a comedy show to for your news. That's not what that's not what comedy
Yeah.
shows are for.
Although you might be better served watching The Daily Show than, let's say, Fox News as your main source of news,
Exactly.
right?
Right. Well, if you
Yeah,
want completely oppose, if you want to,
yeah.
sift out what's true and what's not, I don't know.
Your so I know John's not there every day, but in terms of the interactions you have, has anything been surprising about working with him?
He's actually just been truly remarkable to watch. He's here on Mondays, and that man is so passionate about this job and can seemingly. I mean, there's hundreds of people here who, help make the show run, but he he seemingly runs the show by himself. And I know that he's been doing it for so long, and he really put this show on the map. But he's really remarkable to watch, um, and just how he navigates through the process. Yeah, but he's only here on Mondays, unfortunately. Maybe fortunately for him, I don't know. He probably really loves that deal, so I don't know.
Yeah, I think I'd rather take multiple years of him if it's just on Mondays, right,
Yeah,
than none at all, right? So,
I think it's fitting too for to have him
yeah.
on Monday because I feel like a lot of us hate Mondays, so to have something really fantastic on a Monday that lifts our
Yeah.
spirits up.
Yeah. To jump into a couple of the bits that you've done, I'm always curious. I'll use the woolly mammoth one as
Okay.
a recent example. Sometimes the people that you're interviewing, I can't tell if they're in on the bit or not. Can you kind of describe how that comes about? Because it's usually like the first, kind of silly comment or silly
Yeah.
question that I'm like, did he know that was coming? Or is he completely unaware that this is a comedic bit?
I think this is a personal choice that's different depending on the correspondent. I do like there are probably other correspondents here who kind of enjoy the element of surprise. I find it that I can be more comfortable and work better when everyone involved is in on the joke. So if I am like there are certain jokes that are just fun and silly and I'll just sort of sprinkle them in and then they're caught by surprise and they like it. If it is a joke that I think remotely can be taken the wrong way, and I probably also just say this because I approach everything from like a dry sarcastic place and I know that not everyone uh is very accepting of that at first, especially if they don't know me very well. So if it's a joke like that, I'll usually be like, I'm gonna tell a joke here. You cool with it? Great. Like I don't won't give away the punchline, but I just want them to know because the last thing I want to do is make someone feel uncomfortable when they're on camera. Like that's just not that's
Sure.
not my preference.
Now, why do you think it is that, outlets or colossal biosciences, why would they say yes to, even being involved with the Daily Show, knowing that, at least to some degree, it's going to be making fun of them or what they're talking about?
I think what we do really well on the show is to make sure that overall, the joke is on us. And I always like whenever I'm interviewing a new person, one of the first things that I say to them is like, thank you so much for being here. I'm very excited for this interview. I want you to know that um, I am the idiot in this interview. So if you ever feel like you're the one being made small or being made fun of and you don't like it, you can say so and we'll stop. But I just want to, the priority is to always make sure that I am the jester, I am the fool, because that's my job and I can handle it.
Yeah. Well, that's great. One of my favorite characters that I've seen on The Daily Show, I think this year, is Gene Lemon.
Mhm.
Will we get to see him again in any form? Because I feel as far as a recurring character could ever be on The Daily Show, that would be a great one.
Fingers crossed. I was so happy with how that piece turned out, and I think it was I think a reason that I love it too is because it really was about a very jarring moment in our culture and history, and just a very dark and scary thing. And so the fact that we were able to successfully um not invalidate the weight of it, but just like attach a little bit of levity to it, for so that, whenever people just thought about that moment, they won't be like, oh my God, they'll have something funny to attach to it so that it just again makes it more palatable, and that's what we want to do. But that was a really fun piece.
Fine. Be honest. What has happened to the three cardboard cutout stand-ups of Elon? Where did they reside right now?
I believe they're probably stacked on top of each other behind a roll of carpet somewhere. I don't.
You didn't take one. You didn't take one home.
No, I my apartment's too small. I live in New York.
Yeah. Um, Going back to the woolly mammoth, one of my favorite lines in there is, so it's kind of like an Asian hybrid. Oh, this is why I got asked to do this part. So, as a half Japanese actor and comedian, do you find that your identity shapes your work at all, either consciously or in how others perceive or cast you?
Totally. And I think it ebbs and flows between consciously and not. But we are living in a time where your identities are society deems your identities important. We're at a time where the question "What are you?" is asked a lot. And so it just, it's our job to sort of embrace that and not be find a way so that it's not we're not being burdened by it. Not that I'm very proud of all of my different backgrounds. I think the balance that I try to find, especially in this industry, is uh navigating through it and finding ways so that I don't feel like those parts of me are being exploited. And there have been times even on our show where, the first draft of something, I'll say, oh, there's a lot of gay jokes in here, and not that they're bad gay jokes, they're funny, but the piece has nothing to do with that. So, we don't have to worry about quote unquote making it gay. I'll be like, it's coming from me, so it will be. So don't worry about it.
Yeah, yeah. Well, and it's kind of a strange time in comedy right now, right? Because it's hard to. Maybe I'll just turn the question to you. Like, how do you and the Daily Show writers find that line between what could be taken as going too far or
Mhm.
offensive, even though it's within the confines of a comedy show?
Yeah. I mean, it's all personal, and I think I don't think there's a rubric for creating the most politically correct, woke, whatever progressive piece. And I think I've over the years learned to accept that reality. So it really just is based to like my gut feeling. And honestly, there are certain days where I'm more fine telling identity based jokes, and other ones where I'm like, I've been telling them a lot, and now so let's take a break. And I think both are okay, you
I
know.
see. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, outside of the Daily Show, I mean, do you generally feel like we're in a moment where doors are maybe more open to folks like yourself who, kind of represent multiple identities, whether it's race or LGBTQT?
Yeah. I think so. I think the doors are opening very slowly,
Hmm.
and I think that because of how much content there is out there, and all the streaming services, there are so many more, you know, performing opportunities. I do think that I don't think we're at a place of 100%, equality and equity. Um, but I do think that we are slowly getting there. Um, yeah, that's the answer to that question.
Yeah,
It's
you know,
it's complicated because sometimes it's like you'll the stats will come out of like, how many people from this community have been represented, and then it's a really big number or something, and then you realize, oh well, those were all like tiny characters, like none of them were, so it's hard to really
Right.
gauge.
It's how they're being represented. And, it's
Right.
actually Ronnie Chang is going to be on the show in a couple weeks. And
Great.
a question I was going to ask him and try to phrase it in a way that doesn't come across the wrong way is, in some ways, like him and Jimmy O Yang
Hmm.
are cast much more often than, let's say, a typical leading, romantic Asian male, like a,
Hmm.
Henry Golding maybe type
Yeah,
of
sure.
type of actor, right? And what does that say about, even though there are more parts and more roles for Asian actors, still the choices that casting directors are making is to, kind of put them in a comedic role versus,
Okay.
let's say, a leading action or romantic role, right? That's kind of my perception of things. Like,
Yeah,
how do
there
you
could
process that?
yeah, there could be a little truth to that. I also just think maybe that's just says that says a lot about how talented Ronnie and Jimmy are.
That's true too. They are fantastic. Yeah, and I only want more of them. So
Yeah,
that's
and how
why,
much
like,
everyone
yeah.
wants to watch them all the time.
Yeah, for sure. Um, do you have, like, I've mentioned a couple of my favorite skits recently, but do you have any kind of particular favorite moments, whether they're yours or others from the season, this
From
or
this
this current
season.
season? Yeah.
I mean, the you mentioned two of my most recent favorites, which was the Elon Musk choreographer and Woolly Mammoth. One of my other favorites that I did, well, I mean, because I do chats all the time, which is just when I'm on a green screen and talking to the host, and there are so many that I have so much fun with. There was one, I can't remember if it was more than a year ago, but I was talking about, um, oh my gosh, I can't remember people's names, but I was in Jersey, and it was a bit about flags that were being flown up. Okay, if no one knows what I'm talking about, then this story has no point in being said. And I'm
It's okay.
realizing that
I'll
as
put
I'm
in some,
saying it.
once I'll do some research, put some notes in. Don't worry.
I'm just like, as I'm saying it, I'm like, I'm about to tell the most boring story. But I can't think of like any ones in particular because I've been on the show now over the course of 2 years quite a bit, and but I love when my character gets to a point of just like utter frustration that he just loses it, because I really love this character that we've come up with for me on the Daily Show, which I would describe as just a journalist slash reporter who's just trying to do his job, and something is always like messing it up, and he's just like, will you just let me finish?
Yeah.
That's always
Yeah,
so fun for
yeah,
me.
yeah, for sure. Well, I know we're going to run out of time, since I'm going to give you some rapid fire questions. As
Okay.
a musical theater veteran, what is your go-to karaoke song?
Oh my gosh. Corner of the Sky. That's like the gayest answer that just came up to my head.
It's a perfect answer. I love it. If you could interview anyone on the street for a Daily Show segment, who would it be?
Jenny Slate.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah, she's
Also,
fun. She's
also,
fun, and I can
also,
just hold the mic up to her and she'll just talk, and then my
yeah,
job's really easy.
and also being considered, I think, for Emmys this year.
As she
Um,
should. She's
yes.
insanely talented.
Yeah. What's your favorite bit that didn't make it on air?
Oh, that's hard. Oh, we're gonna run out of time because I can't think of anything. Oh no. Look, here's the thing. There's so we film so many bits and so many wonderful jokes. It's very much like, let's film more than we actually need. And that so I think over the course of my years here, I've gotten to a place where I know I can't be precious with certain things, and I think because of that I forget I forget what
Yeah.
they were.
Well, that's
But
okay
actually,
though.
there's none. Most of the jokes that I really love and that I fought for have stayed in.
They make
So
it. Yeah.
I'm very lucky in that regard.
That's fantastic. And then, because we're united by rice, we always ask this question, which is, like, after a long shoot, tiring day, what's your go-to rice dish?
Honestly, I mean, I'll just make some like sticky rice and then just get those like seaweed snacks and just eat the whole thing.
And you make
It,
it yourself? You like buy, is a certain type of rice with, like, I guess, more gluten or something that makes it sticky?
yeah, a little bit.
Yeah, yeah. I like
Yeah.
that too. That's
It's
perfect.
great, but it's the cheese and crackers of like it's the most plain like there's
Yeah.
it's for picky eaters. Yeah.
That's comfort food. I get
Yeah.
it. So perfect. Well, thank you so much. Congrats. You've been a standout this season, and I
Thank you so
understand that
much.
you're being put up for an Emmy. So good luck with the rest of the season.
Thank you.
And I really hope I get to talk to you again in the near future.
Yeah, I hope so too. It was so nice to meet you. Thank you.
All right. Thank you all.